program and one for the Family Justice Center. The program activities on the CDC under which they send these assignees out are relevant to those two programs. They have a very short window for application. So we're basically going to do the same thing and make sure that we mention the kinds of work that we would like those individuals, if we are chosen, to work on. Again, the one that we have that we were selected for last year is just doing exceptional work. They're highly vetted. It's a very competitive program for people who are selected, and then host sites, and that's what we are now. Very competitive as well. So no guarantees, but we'll use all the influence we have to try to make that happen again. It's nothing like getting really good help and somebody else is paying the bill.
I concur. Council, do you have any questions for Dr. Lambert? We appreciate your work on this, Dr. Lambert.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Under planning, we do have an agreement with Reagan Smith. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Question on that. Are we looking at an alternate version or an amended version?
There's an alternate version because there was a question this morning about the 10% contingency on this account, and the total amount would not exceed $567,600 if you add that 10%. So that was the request.
And that is on our agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for that. Council, if you'll take a look at next week's proposed agenda. And hit your light. I don't think I'll ever get tired of saying that, Councilwoman. No. It just makes sense. If you'll take a look, noting item A, 199 case number, depending on the action taken this evening. Just make note of that, please. And we do have a first reading under council office for the short-term vacation rental ordinance sponsored by Councilwoman Hill and Councilman Henderson that we discussed again today in strategic planning, in case you were following. We also have on the agenda a C2 amendment that we also discussed today at 2 o'clock in great length, in case you were following. We have an appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. J.T. McDaniel out of District 9. Thank you for that. Development, Public Works. Mr. Payne, I saw you earlier. Would you give us a little background? The item in District 4 for the annual inflation adjustment, we have a decrease on Summit and we have an increase on Birchwood. Would you explain why we have a decrease and an increase, please?
Certainly. Item D is an action related to what's called post-closure activity. So these were for active portions of both Summit and Birchwood landfills that have both closed and been capped. There's a 30-year monitoring and maintenance requirement, and the state of Tennessee requires that we hold the amount of all of the future expenses, the estimated amount of all the future expenses. We have to hold those, and so what these resolutions do is they set those aside, and then each year the state calculates new amounts for us to hold. And in this case, because we're now 1 year closer to the end, there is a decrease in the amount of those estimated costs.
May I ask, when is the end of that post-closure for Summit?
They vary. Because it's one resolution for both sites, they were not closed in the same year. So the 30-year timelines differ for each one. They're both very close. They both closed in the late 90s, early 2000s. So that gives us sort of an approximate time frame. But I'm happy to get the exact years for each.
Close enough. I just curiosity. And then we have the increase. You covered both items, so.
Item F, the reason that it's an increase is because that is the active area at Birchwood landfill, which is currently being utilized every day. And so in the future, when we have placed all of the waste into lateral expansion area 3, we will then have to put a cap and close that and then begin the 30-year monitoring portion on that. So the increase from just over $8 million to $8.4 million. And item F is an increase in the anticipated cost of both the closure cap and those long-term monitoring expenses when we get to that point. Again, calculated and estimated by the state and given to us. So we're making those adjustments.
Very good. I do have a light. Councilwoman Hill?
It's not about this.
I'm sorry. If you would also, while I have you at the podium, will you talk a little bit about the project in District 8, item E? I think that was a very interesting
Yes, sir.
project.
That is the Lindbergh Park project, and that is actually some property which the city had held for a long time, and basically they're just ordinary sized rectangular lots, but they were bisected diagonally by essentially a concrete lined channel, but it kept water in it all year round and was waters of the state. As we had been looking at over the course of several years, it really was not serving the best purpose that it could, both environmentally as well as for the neighborhood, because it was just essentially unused areas that could not be developed in any way. There was no way to properly develop them. So this project will actually convert that concrete channel into a naturalized stream. We will restore some riparian zones on either side, and all of the design work was done in collaboration with Parks and Outdoors and will result in a neighborhood park for that community.
Excellent. Councilwoman Knoll, that's
amazing.
a good project. Absolutely.
Looking forward.
Any other questions for Mr. Payne? I'm still holding on to Councilwoman Hill. All right. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Councilwoman Hill, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize. I had made a note on a 2-week agenda for a planning item that is actually on first read tonight. It is in District 8, and I'm sure Councilwoman Knoll is aware. It's item B, well, let me go back to this, yeah. It's on first read tonight. It's planning item B, and the applicant has negotiated with the community and has asked that we vote on the alternate version tonight rather than the original version. The alternate version is the one that includes the conditions that the neighborhood has been discussing with the developer.
And I'm sorry, did you say B or D?
B, planning, it's on first read, planning item B, and I apologize, I had it marked on my 2-week agenda, not on my 1-week agenda.
So the version we're looking for this evening, the alternate version,
That
has
if,
the
that is
additions?
what the applicant would prefer that we vote on, because it does have the conditions.
Yes, I did receive an email on that, and I think I did respond to that as well.
Yes, you did.
Very good. Thank you for that note. Moving into our purchases for this evening, council, if you'll take a look. We have 5 purchases this evening. I know we received these last week and have had an opportunity to ask questions. Are there any questions for purchases this evening? There are no RFPs, no emergency purchases, no sole source. We do have some contract renewals that are in your packet. Take a look, if you will, under future considerations, and hit your light if you have any questions or comments for future considerations, please. I would like to make note of a MOU coming to District 4 that we've been working on for several years, and I want to thank the City Attorney's Office and all those in Parks and Outdoors for working diligently to get this done. There you are, Scott. Thank you very much. It's very exciting to see this MOU come together. A lot of folks have been working hard on this, and I'm very, very excited to see the possibilities of adding this all-inclusive park to District 4, one of a kind in our area. So thank you for your work on that. Any other questions for future considerations? We have no department reports this afternoon. We do have one committee, Parks and Public Works. Chairman Hester, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I will now turn it over to you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Parks and Public Works Committee.
Motion to the minutes?
Thank you, thank you. Madam Clerk, can you read 7T, please? Resolution 7T, please.
A resolution authorizing the waiver of park rental fees for River City Company in support of Los Trompos for the dates of March 15, 2023 through April 17, 2023, with a maximum amount of $32,500.
See no hands. You, please.
A resolution authorizing the Department of Parks and Outdoors to apply for and if awarded, accepting a Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant for an amount up to $17.5 million, with a local not to exceed a 20% match of $3.5 million.
No hands. V, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Parks and Outdoors to accept an award of $150,000 from American Rescue Plan funds to support teen and community-specific programming.
X, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number E-22-29 ESIP Release Area Site Prep to Wright Brothers Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $6,696,235.
Thank you. Y, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to approve change order number 2, final, with Tricon Incorporated of Cleveland, Tennessee, for contract number Y-17-005-201, East Lake YFD Center renovations, to increase the contract by $450,318.59 due to parking lot subgrade remediation, addition of 37th Street partial sidewalk reconstruction, addition of sidewalk railing, and other construction changes, for a revised contract amount of $4,543,891.24.
Thank you. No hands. Z, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number Y-22-004-201 CIPP Rehabilitation Blanket to SAC Construction LLC of O'Fallon, Missouri, and to Inliner Solutions LLC of Orleans, Indiana, for a 4-year term in the annual amount of $4 million.
Thank you. Double A, please.
A resolution authorizing the appointment of James A. Lehman as Special Police Officer, unarmed, for the Department of Public Works to do special duty as prescribed herein in his position as Electrical Inspector, subject to certain conditions.
Thank you. Next to the resolution, D, please.
A resolution authorizing the 2022 annual inflation adjustment of the financial assurance for the City of Chattanooga landfills, permit number SNL 33000273, original at Birchwood Landfill and Summit Landfill, as required by the regulations of the Division of Solid Waste Management, to decrease the insurance from $1,546,300.95 to $1,481,655.03.
Thank you. E, please.
A resolution awarding the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number S-16-014-201 Lynbrook Park and Stream Restoration to Thomas Brothers Construction Company Incorporated of Hickson, Tennessee, for $3,092,249.42, with a contingency amount of $300,000, for a total amount of $3,392,249.42.
Thank you. F, please.
A resolution authorizing the 2022 annual inflation adjustment of the financial assurance of the City of Chattanooga landfills, permit number SNL 33000273, lateral expansion area 3 at Birchwood Landfill, as required by the regulations of the Division of Solid Waste Management, to increase the assurance from $8,028,182.88 to $8,461,805.11.
Thank you. Do we have a representative? We do have a representative of Public Works. Can you come up? I have a couple questions that, as the folks who have been inquiring regarding this, if y'all don't mind, you guys have any questions? Ron, I guess my phone's been blowing up regarding this. They were asking, why aren't the residents able to submit their requests online anymore?
This is about leaf and brush.
That's correct.
Yes, yes, yes. Sure. So we have moved to a proactive leaf, brush, and bulk trash pickup approach in response to our residents' feedback and frustration. So we launched that several weeks back, and we've split up the city into 4 zones, and we are 2 zones through. We'll continue on that approach through the end of March. And frankly, leaves are taking longer than expected. Leaves, you might have noticed, it's been a pretty wet January and February, so the leaves are taking quite a long time to actually work through. And the bulk trash and brush are on schedule, so we continue to keep pace there. So we are continuing to collect feedback. This approach isn't necessarily our end point. We definitely continue to take resident feedback, and I think we'll continue to find stronger and better ways to service. But this is our approach through the spring.
Also, they had a question, why can't the automatic system work with the 311 system? The automatic brush pickup in those 4 different zones work with the 311 system.
Yeah, I think the challenge with 311, unfortunately, is that quite a few of our residents weren't aware of it. Mm-hmm. And so when we think about really equitable service across our city, we unfortunately weren't really achieving that across our city. And so we're trying to figure out how can we have really equitable service across all of our city. And so this is a way that we can really pick up, really, equally across all portions of our city. And so, again, this is the approach that we are taking now, based on resident feedback. I'd like to think that in the future, we might be able to get to a place where, frankly, we know leaf season is coming. It's not a surprise. It happens every year, right? And so I think we have to take a step back eventually and see what is our staffing requirement to do that well. And perhaps that doesn't make sense from a 311 perspective because we know it's going to happen. Brush and bulk trash might make more sense long-term in a 311 system. And so I think eventually we'll break this apart into its pieces and come up with a stronger approach. But we hadn't done this in quite a long time. It's a good learning process for us and a way to get through and really do a deep clean, a good spring cleaning for our city, and get to a stronger place. And from there, we'll learn and continue to grow.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. You guys keep up the good work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That concludes Parks and Public Works Committee. Are we adjourned?
We do not have an attorney-client, so we are adjourned to 6.
We're adjourned.